A casting director can tell more about you in the first 5 seconds of your self tape than most actors realize. And it's not just about performance. Today, on Casting Actors Cast, we're digging into what your self tape setup is really saying about you. Is it shouting, "I'm ready," or whispering, "I'm not serious"? Let's find out and fix it. This is Casting Actors Cast.
Casting Actors Cast, what a show! With Jeffrey Dreisbach, we're ready to go. From agents to geeks, learn what you lack. Tune in every week, we're bringing you back.
We're going to kick off the show right after this. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. I'm casting director Jeffrey Dreisbach with the McCorkle Group in New York. And listen, this really does matter. And why this matters? It's because self-tapes are not going away. They're going to be with us the rest of our life. And actors really need to think about their process, to think about their presentation skills. We're going to dive into all of that in just a minute. But first, this is that moment of the podcast. I just want to say thank you for tuning in to Casting Actors Cast. It's been really fun bringing these podcast episodes to you, and I'd love for you to consider giving a like and a share and a thumbs up, of course, after you've heard the episode, of course. But in addition to that, if you go to the website, castingactorscast, alloneword.com, you're going to find all kinds of cool stuff there. I think that you might find very, very useful. One is a book that I wrote, which is right there on the landing page, as well as a course that is available about auditioning. You're going to really love this course, by the way. So many folks have enjoyed it, and I've gotten such great feedback about it. It's worth looking into, I think. Also, there's a forum that says dive into the talent pool. And if you do that, that's going to open up a whole bunch of freebies for you. One is a book that I wrote on doing voiceover work. It's called Conversation Pieces Out of the Studio, the voiceover workshop for professional actors. That's available to you, as well as a free video. It's a 20-minute video called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. But I'm going to tell you in this free 20-minute video. All of that on the website, castingactorscast.com. And here's my shout out to my friends at Actors Connection, actorsconnection.com/New York. Thank you so much. So, self-tape. Let me tell you that casting pros, they see hundreds of tapes weekly. I can attest to this. And subconscious judgments are made very, very quickly. We can't help it. It's the nature of what it is, that we're giving our time and our attention and our focus to you showing me how you're going to play the part. So your framing, your lighting, your background, they aren't just visual elements. They are psychological signals. They really are. You see, a great setup shows professionalism, it shows confidence, it shows preparedness. We get that information even before you speak. So we need to talk about those kinds of little mini adjustments that can make a huge impact on your own work. So first impressions really do matter. What your setup immediately tells us is very, very valuable for you to know. One, if you have a clean, intentional background, that you're really saying, I take this seriously. If I see neutral chaos, for example, cluttered bed, books, maybe some old posters, that's really saying I didn't really plan this. If the camera height is and the angle are a little messed up or not correct, you're denying yourself how I know I'm being seen. It's how I know I'm being seen versus I didn't test this beforehand. Your eye line, in control versus uncertain or disconnected. See, you don't need fancy gear, but you do need clear choices. So here's what confidence looks like in a setup. First off, be careful not to frame yourself dead center. Asymmetrical framing, that means you're slightly off center, looking in the direction of where there's more space created when you are asymmetrical. That's creating a little bit of breathing space. That really is valuable. Because what happens is being asymmetrical in the frame is replicating how you're going to be shot if it's a film or a television scene. For theater, being asymmetrical in the frame gives you a little more room psychologically for gesture, for movement, for energy in a theatrical kind of setting. A well-lit face with no harsh shadows or flicker, critical. You know that. Also, I've seen the opposite, where you decide to turn on every light in the room and suddenly you are washed out because there's so much light on you that it just becomes too harsh to even be able to distinguish what you're doing as you're auditioning. I also want to encourage smooth sound. That means no background noise and that your volume is consistent. And I've talked about this many times. A lavalier microphone is so valuable, and it costs around $20. It clips on your lapel. It plugs directly into your cell phone. You see, our cell phones were never meant to pick you up from 3 feet away, which is where you're putting your cell phone. So therefore, a lavalier microphone gives a cinematographic quality to your voice, and we get to really hear what you sound like, rather than bouncing or echoing off of walls, reverb, a room that sounds like a bathroom. It just doesn't help you. So a lavalier microphone is an important thing to consider, I think, anyway. The other thing that gets lost is the eye contact that you're giving. You must make sure that the eye contact matches the tone of the scene that you are in. All of that work is showing me that you're just not apologizing for being there. There's no sense of being haphazard. You're owning your space. That's the key. That's the key to all of this information that I'm giving you today. Owning the space is a confidence builder, and the intentional use of that technology is so incredibly helpful. Now, let's talk about some red flags you might not realize that you're sending when you send down your self-tape. I've seen a lot of crooked frames. That just is making a statement about the lack of attention to detail. Sometimes I see weird shadows or flickering light. That means that you haven't tested beforehand. And I just talked about the sound quality, fan noise and echo. That means that you didn't check the playback. Also, in the frame, too close or too far from the camera, you're not thinking about your presence in the frame or the medium in which you are auditioning. For film and television, you want the frame to be from your chest up. There's your chest bone right in the middle. That up is where you want a film and television audition, asymmetrical, and you only want a little bit of headroom. And in other words, the headroom is the space between the top of your head and the top of the frame. So being aware of your framing says a lot about your care and attention and your focus. See, these don't make you bad when they're done wrong. They make you seem rushed or just simply unready. So I believe this to be true. Readiness equals respect. A strong setup respects the viewer's time. We can see, we can hear you. When we can do those things clearly, you have an excellent audition. Also, it really does respect your own craft and how you feel about yourself. That value is demonstrated on how you present yourself. See, your self-tape is equal to your personal audition studio. We get a sense of your professionalism with your setup. What you record communicates as much as how you perform. We're going to cover more information about this right after this. Now, I know that some of the things I've been mentioning are challenging for some. For example, a clear background space, there's not enough room, you live in a tiny apartment where they've got cars racing by. I understand about doing the best you can. But there are adjustments that you can make for any budget or space that you are in. First of all, be careful. Do not use a cheap ring light for your primary light source. The reason for that is many times actors still put their cell phone in the middle of the ring light. That only gives me circles around your eyes. Now, the ring light can be used as a primary light source, but consider putting it on a 45-degree angle, almost a profile to where your face is, so we can see one side of your face. Then there is the fill light, exactly as the name implies. That light is the overhead light in your rooms. When you flip on a switch and there's light in the space, now you're giving me a lot of interest in your face. Sometimes you don't even need more than that. Just 2 bulbs. But here's the thing. You must get the same kind of bulbs, please. Yeah, you have to have the CFL bulbs. The CFL, I don't even know what the acronym is, but they're like the curly looking, think of the old-fashioned light bulb, but think of it as a curly neon bulb. Make sure you get outdoor white or bright white. The CFL bulb has lumens that replicate outdoor natural lighting. So when you look at the box, make sure it says outdoor light or bright white. You don't want reading light. You don't want soft white. You want the very whitest white light that you can. And then you need to cover those 2 bulbs with parchment paper. I'm saying 2 bulbs. If you don't have a ring light, then simply 2 light sources will work. White parchment paper, by the way, is so incredible. It's very cheap, and it's been specially treated to not discolor with the heat of the bulb, which is, pretty much a good thing, because it's not going to kind of self-combust. You're not going to have a fire issue. Make sure you never leave lights on when you're not in the room, by the way. That just crossed my mind. I want to make sure that you are absolutely safe. But you know what? The thing about parchment paper is it really does diffuse the light. It softens the light in a way that doesn't make your skin look harsh or intense. It really does give a natural sense of how you look on camera. If you're watching me on video right now, I got parchment paper in all my devices. So if you if you like the way I look, consider parchment paper. It's very cheap, and you can also bake cookies to reward yourself after your audition, just saying. I think you should consider a blank wall. If the space is tight and you're confused about too much or too busy, if you have to take some things off the wall just because they're distracting, or if they're not distracting, if it's a comfortable looking background where I'm not sort of taken out by watching your poster on the wall, then leave it. It's absolutely fine. But more often than not, I'm going to suggest a blank wall. Now, as far as placement of your camera is concerned, I love the idea of a self-standing selfie stick that has a cell phone holder on it. What makes that really useful is it's inexpensive. But if you can't do that, use the self-standing selfie stick, then just stack books under a tripod, or just use a phone mount that you can attach to a chair or a wall, but frame yourself correctly. Remember chest up, remember a little bit of headroom, and remember slight asymmetry in the frame. Also, your eye line literally is just the same parallel line as where your eyes are to and relational to the camera lens. That's it. That's the eye line. It's a horizontal plane that is directly 6 to 8 inches away from the lens of the camera. That's the best bet. Now, don't forget to test. 15 seconds of tape is all you need when you're recording. Check for lighting, check for sound, correct angle. And then, of course, you have to make sure that you take full takes. Full takes. I still get submissions where we see an edit taking place as if the actor did something wrong and just made a cut and started over again, or made a cut and did a pickup. That's not helpful. A full take. But the big secret as far as full takes are concerned, please give yourself the 3-take rule. Now, I understand. I know this is really hard for some of you because you decide that you are going to keep on doing this audition until you get it right. It's an hour and a half later, and now you're hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, and you're tired. Guess what? That spells halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Stop. Don't do that to yourself. The 3-take rule is this. I am going to accomplish this audition in 3 takes and then stick to it. The value of that is so profound. Literally got an email yesterday from an actor who said, this has been life-changing. They've booked more, they're booking more, and it's because you do the preparation. You also put yourself psychologically through that rush of adrenaline and that kind of nervous energy that we have in auditions because you know you're only going to do it in 3 takes. But you're also conditioning yourself for when you get the call back, because that director is only going to give you, perhaps, at best, might even give you just 3 takes. When you show up on the set because you've booked the job, you might only get 3 takes. So my point is, endless takes serve you not at all. You've lost all objectivity on your work. Knowing you're going to do it in 3 takes and then making a decision about which one of those 3 just makes good sense on every level. So replicate the experience in the professional world when you do the 3-take rule. So if nothing else, a clean background, a stable camera, a natural light, those are things, if you can do that, that amount of care that you put into your audition is going to be making a statement about how you feel about your work. Now, if we were to take it to a slightly more advanced level, do what the casting director asks of you when you submit a self-tape audition. For example, if they want the slate at the end as opposed to at the beginning, then honor that. If they want the slate separate, then do that. I would never suggest you slate directly into the camera and then start acting, only because you can use the technology to your advantage by slating and keeping that separate. Now, the transition from the slate into the audition itself can be really effective if you do a crossfade transition, maybe on a 3 or a 5 count, depending upon the energy of the scene, what the scene is telling you. But that crossfade, it's a simple task. It's very easy to do on any software package of video editing. If it freaks you out, I understand. Muck around. That's right, muck around with a video editing program. There are many free ones that are out there. And just see what it looks like to go from one video source to another video source in the form of what's called a crossfade. It's so useful. And then, of course, at the end of your audition, when you have a thank you for watching end card, you have the end beat of the audition and you do a slow crossfade into the thank you for watching. Guess what? That time and attention that you've given your self-tape speaks volumes to your professionalism, speaks just truckloads, just bucket loads of how you feel about your own work. And that, my friends, is what garners more attention from a casting director. Ooh, that was good. I hope you found this useful today. I had so much fun bringing it to you. If you have any comments or suggestions, you can email me. It's really easy. castingactorscast, all one word, @gmail.com. Don't forget the website, castingactorscast.com. Again, I would appreciate a review or a thumbs up, letting others know about the podcast, because I want to continue to grow my audience, because I think the information is something that you can literally hang on to and use as you propel your career forward. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch today. We'll see you next time on, oh, guess what? I forgot. I have to stop. I put together, thank you. For those of you who are still listening to this, you're going to really win out here, because I have a self-tape worksheet. I'm showing it in the camera now in case you are hearing the the paper flutter. Self-tape setup audit worksheet. It's a single page. It's downloadable. And I think you're going to really find this valuable for every audition. Just go through this little checklist, literally places where you can just make sure you've accomplished the things that we've talked about in today's podcast. I think you're going to find that to be so useful. Here's how you get it. I'm going to put it in the same place as when you fill in your name and your email. I'm going to put the self-tape checklist in that as well. It's a PDF, easy to download, and I think you're going to find that helpful and valuable. Gosh, I know that I was going to probably mention this earlier and I completely forgot, but now you know. That's the important thing. So check it out. All right. I'm done talking now. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach, and this is finally Casting Actors Cast. Thanks.
It's been great having you in our talent pool today. Your support means the world to us, so please consider sharing, liking, and reviewing this episode wherever you jump in. I'm Megan Grace Martinez. Thanks.
From monologues to screen tests to every episode, there's something new for you. Break down those walls, take off the mask. Join the journey with Jeffrey Dreisbach. Casting actors, cast, what a show with Jeffrey Dreisbach.